What's up, YouTube? Just started the stream. Two of the most dominant and complete opposite players of all time, Larry Bird and Shaquille O'Neal. Two sides of the spectrum, dominant at the same level, the same impact, but two different ways of doing it. Yeah, Larry Bird is mostly skill and toughness, mentality, and then Shaquille just pure will, and just strength, and just domination, and he's gonna put his back to the basket, and he's gonna body you, he's gonna dunk on you, and he's gonna drop step, and just instilling his dominance all game. But Larry Bird, the way he instills his dominance is by trash talking, getting to the basket, scoring 3 levels, facilitating, defense, all around. That's his way of dominating and getting the dub, and making his teammates better. So yeah, that's two sides of it. The first video I'm about to be reacting to, I'll put in the comments. I'll put the comments on the screen. So yeah, first video, they clown Larry Bird for being old. Big mistake. We all know that would be a big mistake. You don't clown Larry Bird and not hear from him or feel the repercussions. So we're about to get into it. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. Tyreek was Ty Knight M. Yeah, whoever's on Twitch, follow me. I'm trying to get some followers on there. Just started, don't really have any followers, so yeah, just gotta get it going. Get some content going. Get some flow. Yeah, and also on YouTube, please turn on your post notifications. Whoever's watching this right now, if you're subscribed, stop what you're doing right now, and turn on your post notifications so you can get notified from my other videos. I'm trying to post more often, trying to post better content. I know the content, sometimes the quality might come across lackluster, but that's the setup I have right now. And I'm trying my best to get these videos out. Behind the scenes, you guys don't know what I'm going through to get these videos out. I'm really trying to get a better setup, and yeah, the setup, I'm just trying to figure it out. But the video's gonna come out good. I'm gonna edit these videos. It's probably gonna be more of a live stream thing, or until I can get a better setup where it's like, okay, nice production, this and that, let's get it. But yeah, I'm about to get into the video. Just hit the bell for I guess any other videos so you can get recommended or just notified. And we're about to get into the video. Larry Bird, why did they do him like that? They clowned him because they said he was old. But you already know that's a big mistake. Let's get into it. I'll turn off this music right now. All right, let's get it.
Called out by some young college superstars for being old and washed up.
And I was like, Larry, your back is already hurting, man. You need to take it easy.
Hey, Larry, you ain't hit a jumper since '84.
And one last time, Larry Bird had to prove that even at his advanced age, there's a big difference between being a good player and being the greatest of all time.
Larry Bird, at this point in his career, is now squeezing to the end. It's a ceaseless struggle to get healthy enough to play.
Larry Bird did not play the final 7 games of the season as he decided to sit out and see if he could get his back ready for the playoffs. His back was day to day, and no one knew if he would be able to play in the series.
I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to feel Thursday or Friday. It's just wait and see. It's a game that we're playing right now, and hopefully I'll be prepared to play every game.
I remember walking in the locker room, and I saw Larry before the game, and I said, "How you feeling?" "I'm okay, I guess." Well, he wasn't okay. Guy could barely put his pants on.
He spent the night at the hospital in traction, so he had to be in just unbelievable pain.
I can remember when I first came in the league, Artis Gilmore told me one time, he played for Chicago, he said, if you expect to play a long time in this league, you better quit mopping up the floor. And I thought, well, he's crazy, because that's what basketball is all about, going after the loose balls and But getting a little bit older now and feeling the bangs and the bumps and the bruises and all that, I can see where he's coming from, but I can't change my style of play. I got to play like that every night, because if you go down and get one loose ball that's on the ground, that could be the turning point of the game, and it has been in some instances.
Marv, the mood of the Celtics could be described as confident. In fact, this is the 10th deciding.
Honestly, Larry Bird did what he could in the NBA, and that's an understatement. But his style of play really took some years off from his career. But like, honestly, the way he played was his identity and was the reason why he was so great. He would have been great either way if he would have like tried to preserve his body when jump for loose balls all the time, because a bunch of loose balls that he wasn't able to save. And it's like, okay, he didn't really have a chance, but he really tried. But that's really like you doing that and your teammates seeing that and setting an example to actually put your body out there and work. Like if he's working this hard, he can't make me look this bad. Like if the best player is working this hard, I have to follow up too, so I don't look crazy myself, and look like I'm lackluster or lackadaisical. So everybody follows when Larry Bird is putting out that energy. So it's like that's why his team was so good, because he put out that energy of like, I'm gonna risk my body, I'm gonna put it all on the line and do everything I can in my possible ability to get the dub. But it's like it's gonna cost him later. But it's like he sacrificed some things, but he still got 3 championships. He got some MVPs. He's still in a lot of people's top 5 lists. He made the Hall of Fame without like that wasn't like there's no question. There's no question he's gonna make the Hall of Fame. I don't even know what year it was that where it's like, okay, he's gonna make the Hall of Fame for sure, but I'm pretty sure that was early, probably like in his first or second championship. You could tell that he was gonna make the Hall of Fame, maybe even before that. But yeah, Larry Bird set the foundation and set the tone for his team, and his mentality is why his team was so good, and it was warranted. Like he like honestly, the way he plays, the mentality he has, the grit he has was necessary. You might think he could have played, he could have saved his body for later and had a long career, but it's like he was so selfless. He's like, I'm gonna put my body on the line for the team. I'm not gonna think about my career as a long-term situation. I'm really gonna think about the now and get the dub right now. So yeah, that's Larry Bird for you. It's like two different sides of the game. Like you have LeBron has more championships, but has the longevities there and stuff. But it's like those are two sides of it. Someone that dies for the ball and every chance, and you have someone that's conserving their body. It's like, what play style do you go with? What is more effective? Larry Bird might have been more efficient because he had less years and he got 3. LeBron has like, I don't even know. He started in 2003, like 22 years on his belt. So yeah, I know I was talking for a while, but that's I have to get that off because it's like there's two sides of it. But what do you guys think? What's the better style of play? If you're watching this video, you're probably gonna say Larry Bird. If you clicked on this video, but let me know. What do you think is the best thing, like all around, for your legacy? What's the best way of going about things when it comes to approaching the game? I feel like Larry Bird did everything he could, to be honest. Like even with his ability and his athletic ability and his skill, all that put together, like he did everything he could do, and I don't think there's anything else to do. Maybe he could have won 1 or 2 championships. You never know, but the competition is always good in the NBA. You never know what could have happened. So you know what I'm saying? So he did what he could.
Game of a playoff series Larry Bird has been involved in. By the way, the condition of his lower back injury remains the same, expecting to play about 40 minutes through pain today.
And it has come down to the 5th and deciding game between the Celtics and the Pacers. Bird off balance. 6 points for Larry Bird.
Bird putting his shoulder down that time, actually trying to create off the dribble, which is unusual with the bad back that he has.
That look crazy.
Pacers down court in a hurry. Larry Bird had some words right in the face of Chuck Person as Person called for the timeout.
As Larry Bird carried the Celtics to a lead in the first half, while already in excruciating back pain. To make matters even worse, with 4 minutes to go in the second quarter, Larry Bird took one of the nastiest falls of his career.
Right now, Larry Bird with 12, and the Celtics lead by 7. 4.5 remaining in this first half. Bird had it knocked away by Saddles. Powers on the recovery. Bird is hurt. Bird is down, and he's hurt.
As Bird goes after the loose ball to try to save it, he does in fact get it, keeps it in play, but he paid for it, struggling right now to get up.
It was a thud when he hit that floor. You heard that boom. Yeah. The breath went out of that building because they thought that, that was it.
What went through my mind, just hope it wasn't anything too serious. Obviously, if there was something wrong with me, anytime you see Larry Bird walks off the court, something seriously got to be wrong.
Larry Bird's face hit the floor so hard that he knocked himself unconscious for a few seconds. He left the game with a concussion and had a broken bone in his face. And with the Celtics leader out of the game, Chuck Person and the Indiana Pacers smelled blood.
Don't think the fact that Larry Bird is in the locker room right now isn't helping the Indiana Pacers pick up their level of intensity. They smell it right now. They know the leader is not on the floor. Someone needs to step up now for Boston and take over in Larry Bird's absence.
And Chuck Person with 20 points. The first time this afternoon the Pacers have had a lead.
Well, you're right. Chuck Person was a real force, and there was a lot of back and forth going on.
Person for 3. Yes. First straight away.
And Larry bangs his head on the floor.
I know.
Bang, boom. Has to leave the game. It looks like the ship's going to sink, and we're going to go home in the first round.
Person from downtown. What a shot by Chuck Person. And he gets the treatment from the crowd as he reacted. Indiana with a 3-point lead.
And the cameras are on Larry emerging from the locker room, coming down the corridor. The cavalry is arriving. The crowd sees him. They go berserk.
And here comes Larry Bird. As Uncle William is covered by Robert Parrish.
I got the sense the Pacers were stunned to see him there, and that they thought, holy what's going to happen now?
Throughout this timeout, they have been standing and cheering since Larry Bird made his way from underneath the tunnel from the Boston locker room.
It is one of in the Bird lore, it is one of the top 5 incidents that he did that might have been the last great moment.
He went out with 4:23 remaining in the second after taking the fall, and he is back in the ball game. Reggie Miller's shot rebounded by Bird, who whips it down to Lewis.
I've never met an athlete that would play with pain the way he does, and an athlete that's so highly self-motivated as Larry Bird.
Self-motivated. That's definitely the word, man. Self-motivated. Well, yeah. 2 words. But yeah, because like the only other player I've seen and I grew up watching was Kobe. Kobe is another player that was self-motivated, that played through pain. And I don't know if he was really a guy that studied Larry Bird. I think he did. I think we watched one of those videos where Kobe was talking about Larry Bird, and he was trying to figure out why he was so good, because he found him slow. Like he didn't move as fast as the other players. But just based off of that, I know he was really watching his game. He was trying to figure it out. He was even asking questions because he studies the game. But you could tell, like, what Larry Bird did in his career, his grit, his will to win, to play through pain, all of that. Kobe probably studied that, and then what Larry Bird does transcends the game, because players years later can follow that and like go through it. It's not for everybody. It's not for the weak, but these are the toughest players of all time. Kobe Bryant and Larry Bird. Let me know in the comments if you agree, but I think those two are the toughest players of all time, honestly. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. That's my opinion, and I feel like Larry Bird laid out the foundation for players like Kobe Bryant to do that, and then he made it cool to really put your body out there, even though like he had to go through it later on, but he has a career to show for it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Indiana wants to talk it over.
People's pain threshold are different. Some guys will dislocate a finger and go ahead and play with it. Some guys can dislocate a finger and be out 6 weeks. I think it's just something within your body that some guys have a good pain threshold and some don't. But to me, I was just so glad I got the NBA and made it. I didn't want some little injury messing up my whole season, so I tried to play through it.
Bird with the step on Shrep.
When Larry returned, the Celtics went from losing by 3 points to winning by 13 points in a matter of minutes.
But they come right back at you.
Bird on the reverse, and it counts.
He's so nice. And he's talking his stuff.
I think it's really a mental thing that, Larry's on the court now. Hey, now we got our leader back. We got a big option here we can go to down the stretch during the game. And he's just a big emotional lift when he's on the court, too.
3-point play for Bird. Bird ahead of the field. And it's the Celtics by 13.
The fans at that point wouldn't let the team lose because of what Larry was doing.
Sanders at 6'6", giving away 3 inches to Bird, who's trying to post him up through the foul. Yes! And it counts!
Bird, who does the bulk of the work on the defensive boards, is always looking down the floor and just gets it out over the top of Reggie Miller. And he's going to lead this group with a little bit of emotion, and then also by taking it strong to the basket, showing them how it's to be done.
Through all of the pain and injuries, Larry Bird came back and led this Celtics team to a victory, proving that there's a big difference between being a good player and being the greatest of all time, because today's players just aren't built like they used to be.
Mike, rarely do you see this
Not at all.
kind of emotion
Not at all.
from Larry Bird.
No, but Larry Bird is answering the challenge put forth to him by Chuck Hurst and the Indiana Pacers.
Right now, load management? May I add? Shoot, crazy. Players are injured, right? Or injury prone, and they play every other game. Joel Embiid, to name a few. You know what I'm saying? Like, players won't show up to a game, and fans will pay their hard-earned money to go and see them, and they make a last-minute decision. Oh, we're not going to play him. Well, you're not going to play him, so they're going to lose out on seeing their best player or their favorite player play because they want to go off of load management. But you got players like Larry Bird that has back injuries, and got injured in the game. He really has back injuries, and he injured it even more. Went into the back, came back and cooked. They were losing by 3 up to 13. Shoot, Larry Bird is definitely one of those players that really goes hard and doesn't think about anything else. He's just out there doing what he got to do to get the win, and that's what players should be following nowadays. But and it's the best basketball to watch, the most entertaining, because it motivates you in your life to get through any trials and tribulations, and not just like if there's something's hard and something is really trying to get in the way of you succeeding, you just gotta sit it out. No, you're gonna really push through that. Like we need players like that to like show everybody that like they're there to win, they want to be there, and they respect the game through and through.
He's letting it all hang out today.
I'm talking about today's player. When you look at Larry in that game, and Bob Hill says he's coming back and be ready for him, would today's player come back in a game like that? Now with load management, where agents and managers are saying you got to take care of your body and your product. And it's true. You know, I mean, your body is your livelihood.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I remember Jordan playing with 104-degree temperature.
Yeah.
A courageous, classic performance by the flu-ridden Michael Jordan.
Larry, we just talked about that game, you know. With
Isaiah Thomas against the Lakers in 88, 25-point period on a bad leg.
He's got to be hurting and limping. Thomas goes up, and Isaiah Thomas having an incredible period.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm being unfair, but that just isn't there anymore.
Boston 110, Indiana 96. 4 minutes gone by in the fourth.
Well, Burton did it this final.
Bird again ends up on the floor, and he was pushed by Person.
Person stepping up with the blind screen right in the area that Larry Bird doesn't need in the middle of the back.
Bird. Yes.
I think 4 or 5 years you'll think back about what he did, or you'll just, you know, you'll go that. I think it's one of those things that as the years go by, it'll become bigger and bigger and bigger.
Have defeated the Indiana Pacers. They won it in 5 to advance to the second round.
I already had a lot of respect for Larry Bird, but the way he played today, you know, it's just like the stuff you tell your kids about. And I told him at the end of the game, I've never seen anything like that.
Truly amazing, and you know, it's courageous, you know, and all those other things. And he's the leader. He is the leader of the Celtics, and he will be until he retires.
I've known Chuck for a while, and we've always had run-ins, but it always seems like I get the last word.
Because after that 1992 season, after so many years of giving his blood, sweat, and tears to the game of basketball, Larry Bird's body had completely betrayed him, and no one knew it yet, but he had played his last game in the NBA.
Have back problems. It just gets to the point where you just couldn't play. I mean, you couldn't think, couldn't move, couldn't run. You know, if you can't feel your feet, it's hard to run.
But just before he was about to announce his retirement, a longtime rival asked him to lace up his sneakers one last time. But this time, it would be on the same team in what many people have called the greatest team ever assembled, the 1992 Dream Team.
Larry was on the fence because of his back, so I said, man, LB, you got to play, man. You got to play. This is our last chance to be together. He said, Magic, my back is hurting. I said, Larry, you don't have to play 30 minutes a game. You can just play 10 minutes a game. He said, all right, I'll play. I said, all I want to do is come down and do a no-look pass to you, and you shoot a three-pointer. We both going to be very happy.
My Magic that time, making the defensive rotation, forcing him to put it on the floor.
Bird for 3. Yes! His third from downtown.
I just want to say this is just a small step in what our goal really is, to get to Barcelona, win the gold medal, and bring it back where it's supposed to be. Thank you.
Talk about it, man.
What may well be the best basketball team ever assembled. And here they are, moments away from their international debut. In the white uniform, Magic Johnson controls the tip. Here's Larry Bird backing in, goes to the fadeaway. A come-from-behind effort against Canada. Bird for 3. Larry Bird hitting his second from downtown. He has 10 points. In the second half, Bird is wide open.
And even on the brink of retirement, Larry Bird still had a little something left in the tank.
The crowd start cheering, Larry, Larry, Larry.
Crowd reacts to the entrance of Larry Bird. A standing ovation.
Get open look in transition.
Magic with the pass that misfired. Jordan with the
That's crazy.
save. Here's Bird. Yes.
And you just knew that Larry Bird was not going to miss that shot after the great save by Michael Jordan.
I'm going to send a message around the world today that y'all can give it up. You foreigners can give it up.
The final score, the United States 136 and Cuba 57.
And in the gold medal game, the Dream Team beat Croatia, and there was no doubt anywhere in the world who was the greatest team ever assembled.
They won their games by an average margin of 40-plus points. A conclusion to their 2 weeks in Barcelona. This group may well be the greatest team ever assembled in the history of team sports.
However, as our old legends age out of the game, there will always be some newcomers to come challenge the throne. And in 1992, that newcomer was Rodney Rogers.
And the shot comes up.
Oh my goodness! Rodney Rogers! That may be the best I've seen all season.
You brought up Rodney Rogers, and when I was asked about
Rodney Rogers. Okay, in the comments right now, whoever's watching this, do you guys want me to react to Rodney Rogers next video? Because just based off of that dunk, like that was absolutely disgusting. Let me know in the comments. Let me know, because I don't even know who this guy is. But that putback was disgusting, like absolutely disgusting. Like, oh my gosh.
Zion. I said, for some reason, I see a little bit of Rodney Rogers in Zion Williamson. They were big, athletic guys who were mobile. Do you see Rodney Rogers in Zion?
I do see Rodney Rogers. It makes so much sense now that you said it like that. Rodney Rogers could shoot better. I had never seen a guy like that strong. I mean, I knew what Country Strong was after I played against him and Corliss Williamson, those guys like that, I mean, maybe never lifted a weight, but could push a car out the way if they needed to. And so with him, I definitely think Rodney Rogers would be a great comparison for that.
And when Rodney Rogers was selected as one of the 8 best college players in 1992 to go scrimmage against the Dream Team, Larry Bird gave Rodney Rogers his welcome to the league moment.
But you missed Bird by a couple of years, I think, didn't you?
I missed him by 1 year, but I got to play against him in the Dream Team and to be able to practice with him, see how he worked out, see how he shot, see the junk that he talked constantly. The best was my man Rodney Rogers, strong, fast, quick, athletic, and Bird just set him up in a corner. Someone drives to the corner, Stockton passed out the Bird, and here you see Rodney Rogers take a full sprint. And I'm talking about, how Zion blocked that shot a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
That's where, where Rodney Rogers came from. Except, unlike the young kid that shot the shot, in the middle of him being in the midair, Bird says, "Welcome to the parachute club, rookie," and watches him go by him, shoots the ball, and kept walking down, shaking his head like, these dumb youngsters, they'll never get it.
And according to some of the guys that played, Larry Bird and the Dream Team basically...
That's crazy. Picture that. That play you just saw with Zion catapulting and try to block it. Imagine Rodney Rogers try to close out on Larry Bird. Imagine how far he probably fell out of bounds. That probably almost tear his Achilles landing from that. That's crazy. Based off of how athletic he was, that must have looked crazy. He must have made him look like a fool. Like, honestly.
Beat these college youngsters by 100 points. But why was Larry Bird so hell-bent on embarrassing the young Rodney Rogers? Because one day earlier, Rodney Rogers said something that pissed Larry Bird off, and a friendly scrimmage turned into a serious lesson in respecting your elders.
When we played against him in the Dream Team, that whole situation was amazing.
It was 8 of. All right, thank you. Have a great night too. Thanks, Bridget.
of us. It was myself, Bobby Hurley, Allen Houston, Chris Webber, Rodney Rogers, Eric Montrose.
Shout out
Penny
Rodney
Hardaway.
Rogers, man. Shout out to OG.
Yeah. And Grant Hill was on that squad.
And I kept calling us the crash test dummies. And they want us to come sit in the car and run up against the wall and see how hard it hurts to play against these guys.
So we get to La Jolla, San Diego, and we check into the Marriott, and we're walking in the corridor, and we see this tall white guy coming down the hall. And I'm like, damn, that looked like Larry Bird. So Larry Bird coming down the hallway, me and Chris Webber, and Larry Bird, you don't realize how big Larry Bird is until you stand up close to Larry Bird. Larry Bird, legit 6'10". So he walked by us and he says, y'all those college guys? And we was like, yeah, we the college guys. And he looked at us and he said, get some fucking rest. It's going to be a long week, and walked off. And we was like, what the hell?
And we get back to the hotel, and I remember Bird getting out the elevators like, see y'all tomorrow, young fellas. See y'all tomorrow. And it wasn't like a looking forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. It was like, no, it was like a see y'all tomorrow. Right?
And I remember getting off the plane and I see a sign. It says Mr. Bird and Mr. Webber.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no way. And so I get in the car and it's Larry fucking Bird. And I shake his hand. I'm quiet, you know. And when we get out, he doesn't say much. But when we get out, he goes, hope you get your sleep tonight because I'm going to bust your ass tomorrow.
Yes.
And I didn't know what to say, but I knew this is a moment you have to say something. And I was like, you know, Larry, your back is already hurting, man. You need to take it easy. And then I run to the room and I call my father. I'm like, Dad, Larry Bird was just talking shit to me.
So the next morning, we get up and we go to practice, and the Dream Team is practicing. They're finishing up their practice. And then they say, all right, get loose and stretch out. We're like, okay, we playing? They're like, yeah, we're going to play next. It's the starting five, I think, is myself, Chris Webber, Rodney Rogers, Bobby Hurley, and Allen Houston.
So we're practicing. We start finding the rhythm. Penny's pinning people's on the glass. You know, C. Webb's doing his thing. And I hit a couple threes. And next thing you know, like the clock stops. And we look up and like, we up.
Yeah. Right.
And we're up.
Like the first 15 minutes, we kicking their ass. we running them all out. Bobby Hurley in the lane, killing John Stockton.
I did have some success penetrating and collapsing the defense, and our energy, our excitement to play, all those things played in our favor. You know, what we were doing that day, you know, they couldn't stop it. It felt tremendous.
I don't know if there was ever a more pure or better basketball day for myself or for any of those guys, because we were in a dream playing against our heroes, and we did beat them that first practice.
I don't know if there's highlights for this. I mean, I see a couple of highlights as they're talking, but I need to see some highlights. The younger team beating the Dream Team, because I heard about this. I watched the Dream Team documentary, and they were talking about how Chris Webber, all these guys. Was it? I don't know if it was Grant Hill on the team too. Did he mention Grant Hill? But yeah, a couple of other players, top players at the time, great players in the NBA, had a great career, but they ended up beating the Dream Team. I just want to see those highlights. I want to do a reaction on that, because that would be a great video. But it seems like they didn't have a lot of footage on that. They're trying to like suppress the footage. I don't even think they even want to tell anybody that the Dream Team lost to a younger team. But I think they played them a couple times, and then the Dream Team ended up killing them the last time they played. So yeah. But that'll be a great video.
Something happened. We're sitting there, and we get back to the hotel. Rodney Rogers says something it's a group of them. It's Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and everybody's shooting the shit. And Rodney Rogers said, hey, Larry, you ain't hit a jumper since 84. And we ain't think none of it. The next day we came in, that's when the thing came out that Chuck Daly let us win.
There are kids who believe in Santa Claus too, and the Easter Bunny. And now that they've grown up, I hate to burst their bubble, but It was a game thrown.
Is the game thrown?
Chuck threw the game. If you look how he subbed guys in, not picking up, not making any adjustments, he knew what he was doing.
I love Coach K. That's come on, man. That's BS. They had Chris Mullin, a better shooter than anyone that we had. We really beat him that day. But the next day, it's been the only time in my life I've been in a scrimmage and my team did not score in the whole quarter.
Man, the next day it was different. It was different that day. Yeah, you could tell that, they were like, come on now, we're gonna let y'all know who we really are.
We showed them why we are who we are. We pretty much beat them by 100.
They couldn't score.
They were smacking the floor, talking shit to us like it was a championship game.
Magic Johnson
crazy
fed Larry Bird the ball probably about 8 times in a row down court. Larry Bird got the ball on Rodney Rogers, and every time he was about to make a move, he told him what he was going to do. One dribble, pull up, going left, off glass. One dribble, going right, spin, shot, bucket.
That has to be the most disrespectful thing you could do in a game of basketball, to tell the guy, I'm gonna jab step, one dribble to the right, pull up in your face and shoot it, and then do it. It's like trash talking and then backing it up all in one sequence. It's like you can't say anything about it. He was trash talking you, and then did what he told you he was gonna do. It's the moment where you just can't do anything about it. At that moment, you just have to go back and get your get back. To be honest, that's all you have to do at that moment. It's nothing else you could do.
He scored 9 times or 8 times in a row. Left the court to go lay down because he couldn't sit on a bench.
Right,
he had to lay down
because of his back.
And said, "Young fella, look like 84, huh?"
Last time he made it.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow. I said, so that's they kicked our ass for the rest of the week. And
It said the rest of the week, guys. They ain't play with you.
Nah, they ain't play with us the rest of the week. And this one I was like, this is a different breed.
Larry Bird retired after that season, and though many players have been compared to Larry Bird since he retired, nobody has been able to capture the one-of-a-kind magic that created the nickname Larry Legend.
I would like to play a little bit longer, maybe a year or 2 more, but there's just no way possible I was going to be able to do that. So today I'm retiring, and I knew this day was going to come sometime, and I sort of prepared myself, but once you sign the papers and say you're retired, or once you get up here in front of these people, it's a little bit different.
The Larry Bird retirement ceremony, they had it on a night when there was no game. That's how special, that's how popular, that's how great Larry Bird is. They filled the Boston. To have all the fans come back to pay tribute and to say thank you. There was nothing like that on earth.
Tonight, my basketball career is officially over, and I had a blast. So tonight I leave. I leave basketball forever. I leave a game that I loved. Sorry, but I'm gone. I'm history. I dedicated my life to basketball, and I dedicated my life to the Boston Celtics. So, I say good night, Boston, and may God bless each and every one of you. Good night.
That was a great video. That was actually one of the best videos I've seen. Probably maybe the best video I've seen in regarding Larry Bird. Yeah, it took everything. The dream team, like in the playoffs, but like the tail end of his career. But you could still see he was still Larry Bird. It's just the back injuries. If he didn't have the back injuries, he'd probably be putting up the same numbers. But he was still averaging around 20. But he could still do what he could do just on limited minutes. Yeah, because just he has to go to the bench and lie down. he can't even sit. So yeah, wow. This is a very good video, honestly. I'm great. I'm happy that I found this video, but we're about to get into the next one. This is a video about Shaq. Everything is wrong about Shaq. I don't even like that title to be honest, because like Shaq is up there in my top 10 of all time, and then top 2 bigs of all time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that title is kind of like like honestly, I don't like seeing stuff like that. But we're about to get into it. We're about to look into the video. I'm not going to judge the video before even watching it. Just the title might just be clickbait or just to get people to click. But yeah, about to get into the next one. Everything is wrong about Shaq. Let's get into it.
Over on Spotify, and that is the Rusty Buckets intro. One day I will stop doing that. In today's video, I want to talk about a take that I have had for a very long time, and it's not an uncommon take, but it's one that I feel like is left out of the conversation of all-time great discussions very often. And that is that the greatest player of all time conversation could have been very easily decided, and like in a way that is very hard to argue with, had Shaquille O'Neal just operated a little bit differently in his career. As happens a lot of the time, I'm scrolling Twitter and I saw a compilation of Orlando Magic Shaquille O'Neal, and I have just never been able to get over the fact that people perceive Lakers Shaq to be the overwhelmingly better player. And yeah, it's hard to argue, especially when you take into context his playoff success, that Shaq peaked better on the Los Angeles Lakers. I could agree to that take, specifically up through 2003, and he was there from 1996. So yeah, 7 seasons up until he really saw a huge decline. However, his last season, where he's putting up over 25 points per game, over 27 points per game in this instance, was that 2003 season when he was only 30 years old. And what had happened when he went to the Los Angeles Lakers is he gradually over time put on more and more weight. Now, something that pisses me off about Shaq and his playing career is he got a lot of excuses or justifications for this weight that did very dramatically hinder the potential of his career, both in terms of like just lower body injuries that didn't have to be as bad as they were, and then also just like he literally was on the court significantly less than he could have been. Like, he put on this weight, and the thing that people said was that made him more dominant. That made him all the more impossible to stop in the post. And while I completely understand how you could get that impression just purely aesthetically speaking, when we're talking about the truth of his production, Orlando Magic Shaq was a way better defender than Los Angeles Lakers Shaq, while still putting up very comparable numbers both in the regular season and the playoffs.
Yo, if you haven't seen, if you're a young guy or Anybody that's watching this that doesn't watch Shaq at all and hasn't seen Shaq's Orlando highlights, I would say after this video, go and search that up. Shaq was nasty. Oh my gosh, he was a problem. Like, he was a problem. That a guy that's that big, he can handle the ball, go coast to coast. Like, he was crazy. He put on weight. He could still do that from time to time, but it's like it's not ideal. Because it's like, what are you doing? You're that big going coast to coast? Hell no. But he was like skinny, kind of like skinny but built, and he was going to work coast to coast, size you up, give you a left to right crossover, and dunk on you. Like, absolute nonsense. Like, absolute nonsense. He had no business doing it, but he was doing it, and he was doing it well, honestly. So you should watch those highlights. I'm probably going to react to Orlando Shaq, probably in the next video, maybe, or maybe in any other videos. But yeah, Orlando Shaq was a problem. I feel like he was way more skilled on Orlando than he was on LA, but he got so big that he didn't really have to do much. He just had to go to the basket, do his spin off the defender and go baseline and dunk it, or he would do his drop step, put his body into you and dunk you into the rim. So that's usually what he would do. So yeah, Orlando Shaq, a problem, bro. Him and Penny, oh my gosh.
A lot of people talk about that 1995 NBA Finals like Shaq completely shit his pants against Hakeem Olajuwon. Like, was Hakeem very obviously the better player between the two of them in the series? Yes, he was. However, if your version of getting shut down in the finals is averaging 28 points, 12.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, and shooting 60% from the field, I think that says a lot about how goddamn good and dominant you are at the age of 22 years old against a guy who a lot of people very understandably consider to be the greatest defensive player the game has ever seen. That is saying a lot. Now, in his other finals, when he matched up against...
Wait, hold up. 6.5 assists is crazy. So let's take that in. 6.5 assists is crazy. Like, bro, what? That means he's passing to people when they're actually scoring. Like, he had a team. I mean, they went to the finals. Yeah, that Orlando team, I don't know. I mean, he could have stayed there, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like, he could have got a couple players, but he went to LA. I don't know. But I think he probably had some problems in Orlando. But, like, for Shaq to be putting up those numbers all around, and his percentage was crazy too, efficient. Like, they said he crapped the bed. Like, how? Those numbers are crazy. There's no way around that. That impact is crazy. They probably should have won based off of that, but they went against Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon. Like, he's just a guy that you just can't stop. It's not even a question. Like, it's inevitable. He's gonna give you the work. Honestly. So yeah, but 6 assists is crazy.
Dikembe Mutombo, who was A, not quite in his prime, but B, also very skinny and very easy to push around by contrast to all the other good stuff that he did on the defensive end. Ben Wallace obviously took his lunch money in 2004, but the other years where they went to the finals, they were playing cupcake matchups. Terrible, terrible, terrible centers, and Shaq also kind of saved his scoring energy for those finals. Like, a lot of his championship runs, specifically the last two, up until the finals, for those last two, it could be argued that Kobe was the better player through those first 3 rounds, but Shaq knows that the finals MVP and the finals is what really matters, and that's when he really, really, really goes try-hard mode, and it helps that he did not see a good matchup in the finals against him physically, besides for 1995 and besides for 2004. It did help that by 2004, Shaq's injuries dramatically hindered his ability, and he literally decreased his points per game by 6 per game. And in the playoffs that year in general, he also dropped those numbers. But I am going to take, other than his rookie year, so the last 3 years of his 4 in Orlando, in those seasons, he averaged 28.6 points, 12 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks. 4.2 of those rebounds were offensive boards. He shot 58.7% from the field. Meanwhile, if we take a look at his Lakers tenure before or up until 2003 in the regular season, 27.9 points, 11.9 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, 57.4% from the field, which is a little bit worse. So we are talking about virtually the same production across the board, virtually the same efficiency on said production. And then if we were to do the same thing with the playoff stats, his Orlando Magic numbers are a little bit lower in the playoffs. He goes down to 25.7 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 58.8% shooting from the field, which is really good. And then we get into playoffs for the Lakers up until 2003, 29 points, 13.4 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, which is basically the same. So yeah, 55% from the field, though. 55% from the field is a noteworthy decline, at least, but the production does increase by a pretty substantial margin. But what is important?
The most dominant player of all time. I'm saying that right now. You could say it's Wilt, let me know. You can say it's LeBron, let me know. I don't think it's LeBron, but dominant, just pure domination. Just throughout his stats, 2.5 blocks, 60% shooting, 29 points, 12 rebounds, probably 10 bodies. Probably most of his points, 95% of his points is probably him drop stepping it and dunking you into the rim. A problem.
In here, I can agree that Shaquille O'Neal got better at scoring and became harder to guard when he was healthy and he was the much bigger player. But he was so often not healthy as a result of it, and it meant that he had to conserve his energy on the defensive end of the floor far more than he did when he was in Orlando. When you watch Orlando Magic Shaq, you see the way he's moving. Like, Shaq was primarily known for being terrifying because of his size, but the thing is, he had much of that size while in Orlando because he's still 7'1" and he's still 250 pounds. His verticality, his athleticism that declined with time in a Lakers jersey was overwhelming out of the gate. And that athleticism could have persisted and been a staple of his game for a much longer period of time, which would have enabled him to still put up similar scoring production and still be a great defensive player, which Shaq was in Orlando. Now, Shaq's not a terrible defensive player by any means, nowhere near it, but his physical profile, his size, speed, athleticism in the NBA right out of the gate was incredibly impactful on the defensive end. I'm actually curious in terms of defensive rating. They were 12th, which is not great, but the year before he was there, they were 22nd. Big dip, and it's entirely Shaq. It's entirely Shaq that is responsible for that. So I personally strongly believe that if Shaquille O'Neal on the Lakers gained an extra 20 pounds but kept it there, kept up with his conditioning, used his energy on the defensive end, he could have been known way more as a two-way player. If Shaq's prime lasted until the age of 35 rather than the age of 30, he'd be the GOAT. And I don't even think it would be close. Because when we're talking about
Very
peaks,
factual.
imagine what Shaq did on the Lakers offensively speaking, but then you also have an all-time great defensive presence on the other end of the floor, and then you also have Kobe Bryant as a teammate who most of his issue and beef with Shaq was related to his work ethic, conditioning, and weight. You'd maintain that relationship for longer. You'd dominate on both ends of the floor for much longer in a way that is unprecedented throughout history, because there's nobody with better rim gravity than Shaquille fucking O'Neal. So much opportunity was wasted. And that's... It's hard to say that for a guy who's in almost everybody's top 10 players of all time.
Yeah, he's in mine. Like, no question. Top 10 of all time. It's not even a question. If you don't have Shaq in your top 10, what is wrong with you? Stop playing. Even with the weight issues and then his career not being as good later on in his years, like, he had a good 8 to 10 years where he was dominating, and that was like a Hall of Fame career, and he's top 5 just from those 10 years. Like, come on now. His years in a Magic jersey and in a Lakers jersey, come on. He was a problem, even with the weight. But Kobe was saying, like, he could be the best player of all time if he really worked on his physique. His physique was just getting bad. It was deteriorating over the years, and it was a problem. And his conditioning too. He couldn't play as long in games. He's still putting up big numbers, but he could have been putting up Wilt numbers if he was in shape in those times. Come on now. Tell me I'm wrong. Shaq couldn't put up Wilt numbers if he was in shape. Tell me I'm wrong. Come on now. Shaq could have been the GOAT if he really put his mind to it and really locked in and didn't get comfortable. He got his first championship and got comfortable. That's what Kobe said. So that's the interview they had. If you guys want me to react to that interview with Shaq versus Kobe Bryant, let me know. And just another reminder, turn on your post notifications. Please do. And if you're watching this, go to my Twitch and follow my Twitch, Tyreek Ty Night M. It's Ty Night M. Yeah. On twitch.tv. Yeah.
Shaq is in my top 10 players of all time. But in terms of guys who are in that top 10, there is no one who underachieved to what their potential was more than Shaquille O'Neal. He definitely underachieved a little bit. It's hard to say something about that with someone who's as successful and as dominant as he was, but truly, Shaq could have been so much better for so much longer. And I think that just gets left out of the conversation with him a lot of the time. And I also just feel like Orlando Magic Shaq needs more attention just in a historical context, because when that man was firing on all cylinders, like his second and third seasons in the league, he averaged 29.3 points, 12.3 rebounds, 2.6 blocks, and 59.1% from the field. Like, just an unbelievable force of nature on both ends of the floor. It's disappointing that there was not more to come of it. And that's something that I can't help but feel whenever I watch Shaq play, which is definitely negativity bias. It's definitely a negative skew. I still appreciate watching Shaq highlights in any jersey just because, well, mostly Lakers and Magic jerseys, let's be real. But the anomaly that he is physically, how much he was just built to play the game of basketball because of how unstoppable he was physically, it's just hard to quantify. I can never not think about the wasted potential whenever I think about Shaq. And I will highlight this in a more nuanced way in a deep dive at some point, because that Shaq hater manifesto will be coming out. Most of my beef with Shaq is related to his personality and who he chooses to be rather than his basketball shortcomings. That's just what I wanted to talk about, because it's something that I think about a lot, and this is my basketball diary channel anyways, so I figured I'd talk about how Shaq should have been the GOAT. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. That is it. Goodbye.
All right, that was another great video. These two videos were really good, honestly. Like, I'm about to sign out, but whoever's here right now, yeah, hit the notification bell so you can be notified for my live streams, notified for my videos. But this is a great video. If you guys just tuned in right now, you can go back and watch the two videos I reacted to. Everything is wrong with Shaq just now, and then the other one was they clowned Larry Bird for being old. Big mistake. That was the best Larry Bird video I ever watched. So if you want to go back and watch that, it was a great reaction. It was a great video. So you can go back and watch that. Yeah, but I'm gonna end off the stream. This is a good stream. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Twitch, follow me. Subscribe to me, and yeah. And I'm gonna end off with a prayer. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Whoever's watching this video, bless them from the crown of their heads to the soles of their feet. Allow them to be better individuals all around. Allow them to follow you and lean on you and cast their cares on you. Allow them not to get into negative thoughts. Allow their thoughts to be positive and show their light. Allow us not to be the same as people that are of this world. Because how could people really tell the difference if you're complaining, if you're mad, and if you're upset, and you're very quick to be angry, just like anybody else in this world? How are people going to tell the difference? Allow God in Jesus' name pour into their hearts, fill them with the Holy Spirit, so they can show their light, and they can show the difference of what it is like to follow Christ in their life. So in the name of Jesus, I pray, allow everybody to be stewards of Christ and wear the armor of God and be blessed. In the name of Jesus, I pray, amen. So stay blessed, stay lit, and I'm out. I am out.